let's go ahead and kick into it. December 17, 2021. Recent achievements. First off, the Levels app is officially live in the Apple App Store. This ends the test flight era for Levels, which has been, it's kind of bittersweet to me, honestly. It felt a little exclusive to be in a small club of hard to get apps that everyone's frustrated and finding the wrong one. But that's officially over. And along with the in-app signup, which launched a few weeks ago, we're formally done with phase 2 of our membership transition. So congrats to everybody that helped get this across the finish line. David in particular for getting that final submission through, and Maz for all of the help on formulating our thoughts with Apple. It's really very exciting to see it there in the main Apple Store. And then newest team additions. So Dave Tenhav and Sean Grenning are joining our engineering ranks. We'll have more on their specific focuses coming in the next few days, but exciting to see the engineering ranks continuing to grow. We're experimenting with food image recognition. So John has been running some scrappy experiments on the back end to essentially demo, you can kind of see a screenshot here, but demo a couple of APIs that help us to make the logging experience and specifically the tagging experience more seamless. So by recommending tags based on identified food items in an image, we can take the burden off the individual and potentially make this super seamless. So thanks, John, for running a fast attack on this. Had our second community book club with David Sinclair yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I'm losing track of time. It was super cool. Really love these events. I think our members do as well. You can see a couple Twitter anecdotes there. Thanks for taking the time, chatting with us. Best book club ever. Let's see. We also updated our podcast strategy after a bunch of high volume experiments. We were kind of pushing out a lot of episodes rapidly to see how that goes. Engagement clearly went up, and Ben, Sam, myself, a bunch of others weighed in on what to do next. And so we've formalized a sort of next stages podcast strategy there, which Ben distributed through Threads. Levels was also invited just this morning to join Whoop on a continuing medical education program. So Whoop is putting together a pretty comprehensive program to help educate physicians through the CrossFit Precision Health program on how to use HRV and heart rate and sleep data in order to make patient treatment decisions. And they would like Levels to be a part of that. They really think that glucose control is going to be a critical part of the CrossFit Precision Care arc. So that's exciting. More to come. We'll figure out to what extent we can be involved there. This week on member experience, Chris has a longer update here, but signups have been off the charts this month. By far the biggest month we've seen. Monthly conversion rates, however, are at an all-time low. That's kind of to be expected as rates go up. Percentage might drop, but obviously we want to boost that. Our NPS has hit a 2-week low, which, this is to be expected. These are learning opportunities. We need to gather as much information as we can about specifically, what the sentiments are that drive this. But it's really important to keep our eyes on this and not just focus on the high weeks. Happiness also dropped to 87%. So support was lightning fast. We had 2 outages on the same day, which is obviously difficult. Chris had many, many great things to say about how the team jumped on this and kept things moving, kept people responded to. But at the end of the day, we took a hit from it, and it's also to be expected. But it's always great to see that we, even in the worst of days, don't dip below kind of an A+ average here. Team 2019-2020 patches, also some follow-up seed investor. And so Lori and Jesse, thanks for getting this across the finish line. I'm very excited to get mine. And I know the rest of the team is going to be looking forward to these as we move through the years. Let's see, Sam and Darren, who has joined us today, are going to be recording a whole new level today, which is quite exciting. Looking forward to hearing more of their thoughts on remote work and building companies that really lean in. The generalists you can see here, Mario got his set of focus goggles from Sam, celebrating the generalist article that went live. We had a couple new sort of design layouts from Alan that he dropped in Threads to kind of show kind of the future where the imagery can reflect the experience, and also we can surface insights and next steps much more prominently, which is going to be huge. Productivity series continues to get better. People are really appreciating this and following along as Sam kind of drips these out on Twitter, which is cool. An anecdote here, somebody surfacing Levels as not only a podcast that talks about everything from getting started to all things metabolic health, but also their favorite podcast recently, which is, it's kind of cool to see somebody appreciating the full range of content. That's one of the main questions that we've kind of had is, do we need to lean in on a specific vertical of content? bunch of new influencers, a bunch of new content. Kevin Jubal, I want to shout out Allison McGuffey. He dropped a video about the new metabolic health panel, which I think this might be our first user-generated content or affiliate content on this program, excuse me, which is exciting. We'll have more of that coming. And then just a few anecdotes from people saying the CGM data and the app itself, it's like having a coach on your arm, friendly accountability. I failed to commit so many times in the past, but I can't hide from this data. So really cool to see. All right, that I want to welcome Darren formally, head of remote at GitLab. I did not know this about Darren, but most prolific professional blogger. That's an official Guinness World Record with an incredible post count on Engadget. So Darren is a deep thinker on all things remote, writes the GitLab remote playbook, also a car nut, which I can appreciate as well. I'm not a bass player though, so got a lot in common. Darren, thanks for joining us. Really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Josh. Thanks, Ben, for setting this up, and thanks, team, for letting me share the stage today. I've admired Levels from afar and kind of close, actually. There are very few companies in the world that are in the future for organizational design and organizational behavior, and I think that Levels is one of them. When I look at Levels where it is now, and I look back at where I joined GitLab, I see a lot of similarities. And when I joined GitLab in July of 2019, we were about 7 years old as a company. I had never heard of GitLab before I was recruited there. And on my first call, I remember learning that they were officeless by design. They had no company-owned offices. And as someone who had fought the tide and all of the pitfalls of hybrid, kind of being on team B instead of team A, those who have greater access to information, praise, and promotion, who default to going in the office, this was the biggest breath of fresh air ever. And so I largely embraced whatever GitLab was building because the organizational design was set up to help people succeed and live their best lives. And so Ben invited me to this portion of the call to talk about remote as a strategic advantage. So if you followed GitLab, when I joined, it was about 700 people. Now it's around 1,500 people. And we just became the world's first all remote company to go public. So now no one can ever say, well, remote is only for small companies or private companies. It can't scale. You can't do these things. You can't. GitLab proved all of that wrong. And so I hope a lot of companies follow suit in just piling on. So why is it a competitive advantage? In short, you can be way more efficient and way more effective than any other company. And as COVID has revealed, companies that put focus on scaling their knowledge via documentation are going to run circles around those who push it off and continue to use synchronous touch points or catch-up moments to learn about things that should have been written down. In fact, as I am talking to this group right now, there's a solid chance that dozens of people at GitLab are moving pieces of work incrementally forward based on things that I've written down in the past 2 years, let alone the other 1,500 people that work there or the hundreds of alumni that wrote things down before. So this concept of scaling knowledge via documentation is mind-blowing to most people who have just leaned into synchronous moments and meetings to move work forward, to act as the Band-Aid. But you have built something that is operationally different. And it probably feels a bit awkward now. We are definitely the small niche, but it will continue to be something that is a competitive advantage going forward. The other thing that I want you all to look forward to in terms of competitive advantage is optimizing your life for living and then fitting work into it. Now, that's been a bit tough during the pandemic, but I see a future where you can think about things like access to nature, access to better air quality, access to schools, access to medical centers, and you can optimize your life for where you want to be. And that can change over time and still be fully committed to growing your career where you are. The cool thing about this is the world's top talent will increasingly realize this, and flexibility, as well as a great foundational underpinning so that remote work isn't just allowed, but it's truly supported by the organization and the tools and the workflows and the culture. That will become the #1 draw for top talent. It will supersede things like title, ego, salary, you name it. So I'm encouraged by Levels. I'm definitely a fan over here on the GitLab side. I think you're building something amazing. I love just looking at this graph and seeing the diversity of where people are. But good times are ahead, y'all.
And it's amazing to hear from, a few years in the future. It seems like that things things continue to get better. It sounds like you guys are continuing to nail your process, and obviously going public is a huge achievement. So thanks for pathfinding on this stuff. I know we've all seen the benefits of many of the touch points there, in particular, scaling content, documentation, rigorous documentation, just leaning in on async. Nobody wants to be on a remote team that is synchronous. That has got to be the worst way to do it. So yeah, I just love hearing these thoughts, and obviously looking forward to the podcast you're recording shortly with Sam. Yeah, if anyone has questions on this sort of stuff, we should probably keep a running document. I know Ms. takes lead on a lot of this stuff, and just thinking through how we can continue to optimize and improve. And so I'm sure we'll be in touch, behind the scenes. But if anyone else on this call has thoughts about, whether you're on the team, want to improve something, or whether you're not on the team, you're just watching this and want to lean in on async remote, reach out to us and or Darren. We've got thoughts on this. Thanks a lot, Darren. Really appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely, man. Thanks, Josh. And kudos team on building something that's remarkable. We're watching, the world's watching. They need more companies doing this in public. They need the blueprint. So take that to heart. You're pioneering something for a lot of other companies to follow.
Love that. Yeah, the company is the product in many ways. So building this has got to be the most intentional thing. All right, jumping forward. Got an update from Karen. Let me make sure. Oh, sorry, 1 second here.
Happy Friday. It's hard to believe it's nearly 2 months since I initially reached out to Sam to see if there was any scope for us to work together. And now I'm at the end of my second week here and taking part in my first Friday forum, which is incredible and really exciting. So since I stepped down from Lenny about 18 months ago, I've done an awful lot of soul searching and started to work on some really interesting opportunities in this space. But throughout that whole time, I just couldn't shake the feeling of excitement and FOMO actually about what you guys were doing at Levels. And I think the reason for that is twofold. One, it's just the sheer magnitude and scale of the mission. It just seems to me that this is one of the highest impact problems that any of us could be working on at this point in time. And I really believe that even if we only achieve like 50% of what's on our horizon today, we're building one of the most important and iconic companies of the last decade. And the other is the team. So obviously, because Levels build in public, I've been in the fortunate position to watch you guys execute from the sidelines, which has been incredibly impressive. But since I've joined and I've got to have this kind of unrestricted access to all the cool projects that we're working on, that feeling's only got stronger. So I just feel very humbled and excited to be part of such an elite team. So something that might not be on everyone's radar yet is that there's already a huge amount of buzz and excitement about what we're doing in Europe. I had a really quick look and it looks like we have thousands of signups on the wait list already. And obviously it's something that we haven't proactively pushed. But just anecdotally, I've had dozens of messages from people in my network who are really excited that I've jumped on board and who want to be part of the journey and want to try the product as soon as possible. So I think 2022 is going to be a huge year for the company, and I'm just super excited to be working with you all and can't wait to bring the Levels experience to everyone. So thanks a lot, guys, and have an amazing weekend.
Love the asynchronous updates here. Following on from Darren's words of wisdom. Thank you, Karen. And it's going to replay, of course, as usual. I'm going to skip. All right. Culture and kudos. So we help you see how food affects your health. Tom recently did a deep dive on our blurbs. This remains untouched. It will continue to be as is for now, even though we do help affect lifestyle, et cetera. The one-liner stays. Quick shout out to Mercy. Mercy's been taking on some special projects, executes according to these testimonials here, under the radar without being asked, does a thorough job with everything she executes. So Mercy, thank you for continuing to support on all of our member experiences and also taking on projects that help with everything from culture threads through to fulfilling other special projects that people need help on in the moment. We got a great assemblage week under our belts, wrapping it up today. I don't know if some of you got out this morning and did a little workout. I actually saw Mike D run by, which is, if you live anywhere near Philadelphia, you know that's that's not surprising. But I saw him run by. I was unfortunately prepping for the forum. I was on a walk, actually grabbing coffee before this, but I did not get to get my workout in. But reminder that we have our fireside right after forum today, and please join if you'd like. It's going to be recorded. On the product. Update on priorities, so membership and non-CGM services. So as you can see, we checked a box here, App Store launch. That's huge. One of our main line items, notching items off that list is critical. Nutritionist pilot is still underway, blood work pilot is still underway. And then guided journey and food logging. So core looping, we saw some screenshots up in the first slide. We've got some more updates coming on how the core looping and guided journey are coming along. And then tagging, computer vision, as I mentioned, we've got experiments underway on this as well. So really pushing to get structured data, which will actually feed directly into the guided journey and core looping process as we get more intelligence about what the logs mean. Blockers to launch remain the same. So scalable data integration and completion of our membership transition. So we completed phase 2, but there's more here kind of in like a phase 3 category of nailing our messaging. So Maz has some great thoughts on this. There's a lot on the team, a lot of people on the team who have good thoughts on how we can better message to our members what exactly it is, why they should join, and what they can get in return. All right, David's got an async update here. I think he's on a plane right now.
Happy Friday, everyone. For membership model transition, we are done with phase 2, and we are live in the Apple App Store. So huge congrats to the team for that. Really major milestone for the company, and it is clear road ahead for us to speed forward. The next step is I am currently starting to scope out V3, which is going to include more explanations of the membership and as well as e-commerce flows. That is in process and should have another update by the end of the year. And for guided looping, there was some progress this week on debugging some of the issues we had testing internally. That continues. We're largely waiting for the company product strategy to be finished so we can get back to some of the design and copy changes to continue development on it. But that is going well. So no major updates here. Hope you're all doing well, and I will talk to you later.
Thank you, David.
Happy Friday, everyone.
So funny. All right, JM.
So good you can play it twice. Very light week. We've now had 86 folks come through, 57 have gotten results in app. I shared survey info last week. We moved a bit forward on the next phase to automate some of the things that kind of happen that are out of view, like putting results in app. That requires one of us to do that every time it comes through, and that will end soon, which will be nice. And we are starting to think about phase 3, whether we're going to do that now or in the future and figure out what that entails. A nice non-update for you, but things are going well here. Thank you for the support and that wonderful video that we just got, which was awesome. You should all take a look. Thank you, Tom.
Non-updates are great. I appreciate that, JM. It's always good to just get an awareness on where we are and what's coming next. And yeah, looking forward to more on the metabolic health panel. I still need to sign up. All right, open roles. So the list hasn't really changed from last week, but just as a reminder, software engineering stays open. Still looking for visual designer, community manager, associate editor, and a finance lead. So please share with your network, refer people, and the priorities right now, you definitely need support on design and editing. Haney and Alan are pulling far more than their weight right now. So as soon as we can get somebody in those roles, we'll be able to open up to next phases of those categories of work. And then new team members, these are people who are on deck. We've got arrangements signed and just waiting for start dates. So we've got, what is this? 8 people now, starting all in January. So pretty exciting. Team is growing. If some of these people are kind of ramping up slowly. Taylor, for example, you've seen him in threads. Reach out. You might be able to set up calls even before they get started, or give them pointers even asynchronously. So let's try and give them a warm welcome in January. Miz.
Cool. I'll jump in on this one quickly. Some quick pointers and reminders for some of our tools and communication. So Tony and Ben did a great video on Notion or Threads. This has been a question that's been in the back of a lot of folks' minds. Where do I put certain memos? Where do certain discussions happen? And they clear it up and walk through a bunch of different cases. So recommend catching that video. There's also a draft of a document in the How We Work section of the Levels homepage, so in the handbook. And it's how we communicate and collaborate with a lot of the little intricacies of how to use read receipts, how to respect public forums, push notification settings, and a bunch of other details. So recommend checking that out. And if you have things to add to that, as always, this is an open document and recommend everyone jump in with their own suggestions or clarifications so that folks can learn. As you saw on the previous slide, we have a ton of people joining in the next month. The company is going to grow significantly, and maintaining a lot of these small details will go a long way on kind of maintaining culture and communication styles. One more nitpick on the next one, or really just a reminder. So some thread etiquette lessons. Mentions and request response. These are two different features that are kind of rolled into the UI in one. So when you mention someone in a compose box in Threads, they'll automatically get added to the request response designation. So that will show in their inbox with the purple button that says, follow up, agree to the follow up, or decline the follow up. You can also mention the person without requiring them to specifically follow up. So if it's literally just a mention, the way to do that is to @mention them. Then you can go into that bottom of that compose window, click on that inbox button and remove that person from the request response and only CC them. Likewise, if you're composing a new message, you can click on someone in the request response box and move them to CC. So using really explicit designation of whether or not you need a response for someone is helpful for them and helpful for everyone else on the thread who can look at the sidebar and understand if the conversation has already happened or if it's pending more input from people who would either like to give it or who have been requested explicitly. So give that some practice. I think we've been pretty good about this, but there's always room on the edges. That's it for here.
Thank you, Ms. Yeah, this is huge also to just help people with backlogged follow-ups that you're actually not on the hook for. We need to be very clear about follow-ups are an important primitive for us to get work done. So we want to keep that very streamlined.
So from a member insights, we talked about the 2 outages we had last on the 7th. So our volume went up 400%. The team not only was able to handle that volume, but they actually responded quicker than normal. So we were responding to a lot of people within 15 minutes because we were using a lot of workflows, which I talked about in the weekly update. So it's kind of trying to leverage a lot of the tools we have when spikes come in to kind of address it when it's the same question. So that was great. The NPS, as we mentioned, on a 2-week low, I'm going to dive into that in just a second. And we're still waiting for North Carolina Pharmacy Board to re-enable for new members. And we have TruePill has all the information to them, but we're just waiting on them to respond. And next slide. So Alan asked me, I think yesterday, when he saw my update on the weekly of like what's causing the 44 kind of drop. So I spent some time this morning, in Snowflake because that's where I like to spend my time. It's a good pass by. So a couple of things. I started looking at what's moving around our audience. So a couple of things I noticed is the NPS of women has fallen off 25 points from a couple months ago. And remember that when we had our peak in September was right after the segment of the Mark Hyman podcast, where we actually got a much different cohort of people. And I did a deep dive where the Mark Hyman kind of segment actually had a really high NPS. So as that wave crashed or kind of washed out, the numbers kind of came back down. The other one on the bottom left is in that same month, women were 2/3 of our respondents, and now it's more 50-50. So men typically score lower, and now they're a larger percentage of our survey where it's even. So those are two things kind of bringing the score down. And then a little bit on the age groups on the right, where you can see both the NPS by age bucket and the distribution by kind of surveys, or as we change the mix of our audience month to month, as we turn on different promotions, that can kind of bring scores up or down. Next slide. Similarly, as we talked a couple weeks ago about referral codes really having a big impact on our conversion rates, They also have a very big response on our NPS. So as you look at a lot of our top referral codes by number of surveys, you can see a large swing in NPS. So when we do a promotion, when we do a swing, to use the kind of big example, the one at the bottom left, the at cost VIP, when we give away things for free, people really aren't on the hook. They're not really vested, and they're not really going to give us very high scores for it. So just like we see a lot of our metrics go up and down around orders and conversion rates because of referrals or campaigns going out, same thing happens to NPS. It changes our audience, changes our mix, and that's a lot of times the big cause. It's not that we instantly change something in the app week to week. It's more about who's coming in the door. Next slide. And then some recent comments from promoters. So a couple of things I wanted to call out. One, I like the future of healthcare. Another one, super informative, and I'm addicted. I guess I'm going to take addicted in a good positive versus a bad. So these are always kind of great to see. Next slide. On the flip side, the passives are in gray, the detractors are in red. One person who actually says they actually don't agree with the range of 70 to 110, that it's from there, they basically said it's not accepted within the medical profession. They didn't get a response from a dietitian, and some conversation around the two apps being tricky. A number of conversations around price. That's the one that continues, that we get a lot of feedback on, a lot of Slack. Also sensors, where they're faulty or their accuracy of the sensors. So we continue to kind of watch this, look for new themes, but a lot of the themes we're seeing are pretty consistent week to week. And that's it for member experience.
Very cool. Thank you, Chris. Always appreciate these deep dives, especially the new Snowflake capabilities that you're bringing. Ben.
+1. Love the qualitative and quantitative deep dives by Chris there. Growth is focused on providing value through membership. So we will reiterate this week over week. Next slide, please. Weekly recognized revenue, we're at 107. Monthly, we're at 412. Cash 78. No changes to debt or runway. Next slide, please. So we're going to put a bow on culture documentation 4.0. We'll go all the way back to when this project started and then when we actually started executing on it. In September, so I guess near the end of September, we thought, let's do another iteration of these culture videos that we were doing with Campbell. They were a little bit different in execution because we wanted to do how-to videos. And this was from feedback within our team. And then as far as externally, we had a number of people say, hey, it would be really helpful if you had tactical videos. We ended up reaching out to a number of content creators, prominent people like Ben Gilbert and David Rosenthal from Acquired, Lenny, Camille Foster, and we had all these conversations. And it just didn't, either people weren't, they didn't have the bandwidth to take it on, or they weren't interested in the project falling within what they felt comfortable doing. And so we let the project, I guess we kept iterating on the project. And at the beginning of November, so about a month in, next slide, please. We decided, hey, why don't we just take this on ourselves? Why don't we start experimenting? Because there's no point in continuing to reach out to people to maybe get a suboptimal outcome. So what we did is we took a data-informed approach and we said, what are videos that people actually want to see, both within our team and then externally? And there were 10 videos that came up and we ranked them the top 5 videos. And so the goal was, let's produce these 5 videos and see how they turn out. We had a rough idea of how we'd pursue production, but it was still pretty loose. And so what the outcome ended up being was, through rapid experimentation, we did 10 videos. And the reason we did 10 is because as videos came up, we said, hey, these are faster to execute than we think. We don't actually need a ton of planning to do them. It's, is this solving, excuse me, is this solving an immediate pain point, and how fast can we do it? Next slide, please. So we realized the learnings were that categorization matters. Videos tend to fall within 3 different buckets. It's something that we chatted about last week, that being team interviews. So if we need a lot of team perspective on how we think about certain things, like Disagree and Commit is the one that Campbell's doing right now. And then we have what we're calling Culture 4.0, and that's either 2 people discussing something. So Sam and I did a video last week, I think it was, on how to think about meeting synchronously. And then Ms. and Matt, as an example, did a screen sharing walkthrough of Text Expander. And so those are sort of the 3 buckets, and it becomes really easy to say, hey, here's something that will help. Where does it fall? And then we can end up producing it. The feedback that we've gotten from both through social and then from our own team is that the videos are helping to provide insight. So some people say, hey, I didn't realize you could do X, Y, and Z in Notion, or what Ms. just alluded to in Threads. I didn't realize that you could CC somebody instead of notify them. So we'll continue to do these videos moving forward. And the next steps are that we'll do production in very much an ad hoc manner. That meaning we're not going to say, hey, we're going to commit to 5 or 10 more videos and produce them by this date. We'll do them as they come up, because it's really easy to do 1 or 3 a week. It doesn't matter what the N is, or if 3 weeks go by and we don't do one, that's not necessarily a failure mode. What we need to do is, if anybody has any pain points they're experiencing in either in platform or in the way we think about things, if anyone has individual productivity hacks, if you've identified something in onboarding, whether you've gone through it or if you're helping to onboard somebody new to the team, or if you think there's something that we're missing for recruitment, any of these ideas, if you can surface them in Threads, that would be very helpful, and then we can produce them accordingly. So that is the bow on December 17th ship date, and there it is, Culture Doc 4.0 wrapped.
Thank you, Ben. Over to Tom.
All right, some weekly highlights on the podcast front. The steady drum of the podcast tour continues with 3 shows this week, all featuring Casey. And I would just say, for those newer to the team, I would highly recommend listening to some of these recent episodes. I think it's an awesome way to keep a pulse on just how we're communicating key concepts and ideas, how that evolves over time, and just what's top of mind for Casey. Also on the podcast tour front, shout out to Maz. We secured his first interview that he'll be recording in January. So it's going to be fun to see some other team members hit the podcast tour in 2022. On the content creator front, continue traction with YouTube. A few videos launched this week. We have 2 coming next week, one of which will be Bobby Parrish, which will probably end up being our most viewed video of all time, which is exciting. And then calling attention to Austin's video. Again, this was on the metabolic health panel experience, and just really fun to see how we can go from beta feature, testing it internally, to actually having a partner create content around it and push out really key ideas that are important to us, like the democratization of healthcare and sort of the future of consumer-led, personalized healthcare. And then lastly, probably my highlight of the week, was very excited that Kelly Levesque is going to be interviewing Austin on her podcast. And Austin is just so excited about this level of exposure. And I think more generally, it's just really cool that we have become a platform ourselves. I think like even a year ago, we were hunting down people that were well networked or who had big audiences to help elevate our message and brand. And not too long after that, we are now that platform for other people, and we can add a lot of value back to our partners, which is really great. Next slide. All right, well, looks like the formatting got screwed up here, but wanted to zoom in on Matt Frazier's Instagram post this week. Matt invested in our seed round, and he's the most decorated CrossFit athlete of all time and has millions of followers. And so this is how the post generally performed. It got 35,000 likes, which is pretty amazing. Certainly the most liked Instagram post that's ever been out there in the world, I believe. Someone correct me if that's wrong, but I think it's right. 6,000 clicks, and we had 1,500 email signups, which definitely contributed to the last few weeks being highest volume of signups we've seen to date. And then only 11 conversions. So this is certainly a relatively low number of conversions, or a low conversion rate. So wanted to just quickly explain kind of how I think about this generally. I would say overall, this is a huge success. It's a boon to awareness, to educating the market about metabolic health and why this is important to track, and then also just building a premium brand. Very much noting the low conversion rate as a data point, but we really don't put a ton of stock into it. For example, we're not saying, wow, Kelly Levesque converted 50 people in a couple of days, and Matt has only converted 11. So I guess that means CrossFit isn't a market we should pursue. We're not at all thinking in those terms. It's when you get outside of the like health advice, health optimizer crowd, it's extremely rare that you're going to see high conversions for like a one-time Instagram post with a $400 like novel tech product. This is very consistent with other brands I've talked to and my experience at past companies. So this is exactly what I expected from this post, that we wouldn't see very high conversions, and very much still excited to see what's to come on the kind of CrossFit front generally, as well as content that Matt is planning. That's it.
Very cool. Yeah, I love seeing this. There was some good chatter in the comment section on this post as well. People, we get some of the typical pushback, and Matt jumped in there and was very staunch in his defense of understanding how his body specifically works and why he was interested in that. And so it's cool to see that this is not just a one-time post. He cares a lot about getting the message across as well, which is big. Thank you, Tom. Annie.
So a couple new posts in the content space. Another nice interview with a member. This one's nice. This is a woman who works in a urology clinic, also does some functional medicine consulting. So this one kind of goes deep into why men should get physicals and how metabolic health relates to some men's health issues. So it's a topic we've touched on before, but haven't done a lot. So it's nice to come back at that. The second piece there about micronutrients is another collaboration post. So this was with Routine, which I think many of us know. Rachel Soper Sanders has been in a 5 questions before, the CEO over there. Their team worked on this with us, kind of looking at not just why you need micronutrients and how micronutrients affect your metabolic health, but the flip side of it, how having poor metabolic health can actually mess with your micronutrient status. So nice collaborative piece there. The third thing I want to call out here, we tried a little experiment this week. Casey and I talked about this, and I decided to just sort of jump ahead and try it, which is to take the Dr. Casey's Kitchen newsletters we're doing and put them on the site, put them on the blog. Because something that Sonal and the team at A16Z had mentioned they'd had some success with other newsletters. It helps sort of SEO. It helps kind of with a sharing perspective. I think it doesn't make as much sense with some of our other digest ones, but because Casey's are so sort of self-contained and are really articles in and of themselves, we just put up all 3 out on the blog. So this should make it a lot easier, if you have folks you want to share these with who maybe aren't signed up, yet, definitely send these out. And if you haven't looked at this week's, it's great. It's just absolutely packed with service. It's the thing that we all get to take advantage of here, having access to Casey and knowing Casey, which say like, how do you deal with holidays? And this is her sharing all of the stuff that she would tell us. And as of yesterday, still right up there with the close to 40% open rate. So phenomenal engagement with these. The other thing I wanted to touch on, apologies, I have a barky dog, is a PR update. So I work with Tom and Casey on the PR side. It's not something we get into much beyond just, when we get press coverage, it sort of comes through. So maybe monthly, maybe quarterly, I want to just start kind of sharing a little bit of like what we're working on and what's going on the PR side with JTPR. So the strategy that we've adopted over the last, I would say probably 6 months, is to not just focus on getting promotion to levels. We definitely still do that and see that some of the press coverage that comes through, but remembering that a big part of our success is just more people knowing about metabolic health and what metabolic health means, what it is, and why it's important, even if that never mentions levels. So very much in line with a lot of what we do on the blog, but taking advantage of JTPR to do that as well. So we're kind of still at the beginning of this, and the way that we've been executing this, that second bullet point there, is they've been creating pitches basically on a monthly cadence, usually tied to Women's Health Month or Men's Health Month or Cancer Awareness Month, or something that editors are sort of thinking about, crafting a pitch that relates to metabolic health, and then making some of our advisors available within that pitch to be experts on it. Gotten a little bit of engagement, not a ton yet. We're still learning kind of how this works. It's definitely a little outside the comfort zone of JTPR. They're great at getting companies coverage. That's what PR firms do. So it's a little unique when the company comes to them and says, hey, we would love an article about metabolic health, even if it never mentions us. But as they do with all things, they've totally jumped into our different way of working and are really, helping to push this forward. And I think we're going to continue to do this in 2022. We've also used them. The other sort of unique thing we started doing with them, which I don't think I captured here, is to help promote our advisors. So not just using them as sources, but we did some work with Dr. Gottfried when she had her book out. We're now doing some work with Dr. Perlmutter, connecting the 2 PR teams. So we can just really play kind of backup. JTPR can just kind of help fill in some of the gaps for getting those folks coverage. And Dr. Perlmutter, very much in line, all of our advisors, of course, but Perlmutter mentioned on the call we had, he had the same sentiment of like, look, even if we're not getting a plug for my book in, I just want to be out there talking about metabolic health. We're very much aligned there. So just another way we're really taking advantage of the advisor group that we have. We also put together a pitch on the crowd fundraise that was incredible. We got a little blip, which I put up on Threads last night. I think we'll see more there, and I think that'll be a big part of the Series A coverage. Some of the other things they do is they enter a lot of awards for us. Those are just kind of nice little PR hits, typically pretty low lift if we get them, nice little chunks of validation. And then they continue to field and chase the tier 1 press. So this week, Josh and Casey, I think both did an interview with The Economist. So just when you think there's no more tier 1 press we can get, it's like, all right, we haven't been in The Economist yet. Now, of course, that is happening. So next slide, just one more little bit on this. I just wanted to show here kind of a little bit behind the scenes of how this all gets managed. So what's on the right there is a giant spreadsheet that JTPR keeps. This is, pretty sure this is accessible. I've added a PR section to the content wiki, and I will link all this stuff there so that if anybody's curious, you can always go jump in and see what's going on. But this is a really good place to see who are they pitching, what's actively out there, where are those things at, who are we having conversations with. And then what's on the left there is just our sort of weekly agenda. And again, this is linked out in the content wiki. If you want to dive deeper into what are we working on, what's being talked about, this is how we we async connect every week through this agenda and then do synchronous calls once a month. So just a little update on what's happening on the PR side. I'll revisit this, like I said, probably quarterly to kind of let you know what's happening there. That's it for content.
Awesome update. Love it. Love everything there. Thanks, Haney. Right, we're ahead of schedule here. Start off on individual contributions with Alan.
No, I'm first.
Yes.
I've never been first, and so now I've got to think on the fly. So I'm moving this weekend. There's boxes all around me that you cannot see. So it's been a little hectic over here, but I'm excited to finally be done with the move to New York. And professionally, it's there's been lots going on, lots of conversation, and I think just having philosophical conversations about the direction of the product is actually, very it's occupying my brain, and I find it really interesting and exciting. So, yeah.
Well, best of luck with the move. Hope it's over quickly and not too terrible. So, Sam, I don't think Sam's with us right now.
I don't think so. I think I'm up here. There's definitely too many things. John's video looms this morning about the structured data were super interesting. This was, obviously this is something that's been requested for a while, so it's great to see that come together. But I guess from like a macro perspective, David's 2-year retrospective on the Levels app last night was pretty amazing. Few different things to see what we've accomplished in the last 2 years, but then I'm even more excited for the team growth and to think about all the things that we're going to do in the next 2+ years. So I guess that's it.
Nice.
On to Helena.
Helena. Is Helena on the call? I don't think so. Marilo.
Yeah, still super excited about book club yesterday. It was great, just the access that we have to these people who are at the forefront of research is just amazing. It was in awe throughout the whole call. Also super excited to see the roadmap come together, the strategy and what we'll be developing throughout the next years. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm definitely very excited about the team growth, just continuing to attract amazing people. I'm having intro calls with just great folks who are reaching out proactively, which continues to just be like, strangely, we've gotten used to it, but it is not normal for startup companies to have people kind of banging on the door who are imminently qualified for basically anything we can throw at them. So that's been great. And then lastly, we're continuing to just make great impressions on people. And this morning I had a conversation with someone who is running a very large, very successful company. And she just said, all I have to say is everything I see that comes from your team is the most intentional and well thought through version of that type of work I've ever seen. So it seems like you guys don't miss, and that's high praise. So pretty exciting. Steph.
This week was awesome in the sense of the Lifespan Book Club, and it was really fun to be able to just see these little pieces of people sharing a bit about their professional or personal lives. And so I enjoyed all the lightning talks. Personally, I'm not sure if Darren is still on the call, but what he said about remote work kind of giving you the ability to tailor your life or your work around your lifestyle. I mean, I could sing praises about that all day. And yeah, living in a place like where I'm at now and having such close access to the mountains and the trails has been an absolute dream. And so shout out to remote culture and remote work on that. And other than that, now that I have a lease and I'm rooted in Colorado, I went back to the gym and started swimming again. And so I'm excited I actually decided to sign up for a triathlon next summer, and I'm really excited to keep training for that.
Awesome. Love all that. Justin.
Highlight for me was getting to spend time with everybody and learning from each other for sure. It's always great because, we get involved in all the work and we kind of get disconnected for people. So it's good to meet with people again. And yeah, personally, I'm looking forward to some vacation time next week, the tail end, and getting some refreshing family time, which can also not be refreshing at the same time. So
I hear you. Darren had to jump off. Tony.
Yes. Excuse me. Sorry. So many exciting things. I mean, this past week with assemblage was just great. The cooking class was definitely one of the highlights, and obviously hearing all the lightning talks, and especially David's lightning talk yesterday with the 2.5-year retro. It's just amazing seeing the whole transformation over the years. Personal side, really just excited for Christmas coming up. Brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and 2 of my nephews will be coming up from Georgia, and it will be my nephews, both of their first time seeing New York City. So we're excited to do a lot of touristy things next week when they're here.
Fun. That's what we always did growing up. We went to New York City for Christmas time. Lori, great to see you on the forum.
Thank you. It's been a while. Gosh, yesterday those lightning talks were amazing. And I love these shares. I know they're just a few seconds long, but we get this little insight, right, into everybody. And it's not just a name, it's a person. And I don't know, there's not a single person here that I wouldn't love to spend time with. And I don't think everybody has that at their job. I really don't. We're thinking about moving in a few years. And as Steph was saying, being remote, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where we move. As long as we have a computer, we're good to go. I'm very excited about the team growth. I'm super excited about Karen and what is going to be happening in 6-9 months from now. Are we going to be in Europe? Are we going to be starting in the UK? I don't know. It's super exciting. Christmas is coming. It's just a lot of things that are going on that are great. And because I haven't been here in 5 weeks, I feel like I should then take my 3 minutes instead of 10 seconds. So I'm going to let you go. But good seeing all of you, and I hope you have a great, great Christmas.
We need to catch up on the backlog of Lori shares. They're invaluable.
You're cute.
Thank you, Lori. Zach.
Yeah, on the professional side, I've loved all of these great lightning talks, everyone that I've had a chance to be a part of. Lots of legal related stuff kind of happening in the background that I'm excited about, but that's kind of a stay tuned in terms of me talking about all that. And on a personal note, so a lot of our sort of personal chat stuff in company has moved from Slack to Discord, as everybody knows. And I don't really participate, except that I have it on my phone. And Helena's ridiculously cool Rubik's Cube art showed up. If you haven't seen that, go see that because it's amazing. So that's like something that I just thought was really cool that I'll give my 10 seconds to.
I also am fairly inactive in Discord, so maybe I need to key that up. Jeremy. Actually, Jeremy's not with us. Jam.
All right. This is probably my last one of the year as I'm going away for a couple of weeks. So just reflecting on the last year, I don't think I started last year kind of even imagining that I'd be here. And I feel lucky to get to be here at a time where this remote thing can really work. Like, it's kind of amazing. So we're very lucky and looking forward to next year. And that's it. See you soon.
Enjoy the next few weeks. Tom.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the team growth and just sort of the growth of the community, broadly speaking, folks like Darren and everyone else that we touch. I get like comments, text messages all the time from friends and other people who I end up chatting with about working at Levels, and people are always asking how the hell I got connected to Levels so early and was, on the team as early as I was. And I tell them all that, frankly, it's just incredible luck. So I feel super grateful over the last couple of years knowing the team, and very excited for the year ahead. And personally, can't help but mention that it's kind of madness in New York City over the last 24 hours with regards to COVID. Things just got particularly crazy in the last 24 hours, and rates are like higher than they've ever been of new cases. And things are just changing really quickly. People are in town from other countries visiting me and my friends, and everything's just up in the air. So it's been annoying to have to put a bunch of extra resources towards thinking about that. But all the cases are, I know literally many dozens of people right now who have COVID, which is crazy to say. And all the cases are extremely mild. So at least that's good.
One thing I'm going to take issue with is the pure luck with Tom coming in. It was Tom called his shot. He said, "This is what I'm going to do for you guys. This is how it's going to go down, and go ahead and just sign here." And that's basically what we did. So wasn't much luck involved there. Scott.
Hi, everyone. I've missed you all. Personally, I am going to be off work for 2 weeks, starting, I guess, after this afternoon. So I conveniently just sort of ignored the quarterly vacation mandate for the last 6 months or so. And so I'm going to go catch up on that. Professionally, man, I'm going to give a strategy update before Fireside. But it's been really fun to be able to sort of suspend reality for a minute and sort of play around with the future of Levels. I think that there's a lot of differing opinions and a lot of just different understandings. One of the things that makes our job really fun, but also very difficult, is that we all interface with food like many times every single day. And it's a really interesting intellectual exercise to have to suspend that lens as much as we possibly can. So last couple of weeks has been quite hard, but they've also been quite good at the same time. So I'm excited to get back in the new year and keep cranking on strategy and roadmap stuff. And I'm also excited for new people. I feel like we're about to get rocked a little bit in a good way. So,
ditto. Gotta get out there. Haney.
On the company side, huge shout out to Mike D for all the assemblage work, and super happy about the bringing back the lightning talks. It's been great. I've tuned into about half, and I've honestly saved the other half because my wife really wants to watch them. So that's what we're going to watch this weekend. And she's going to insist we watch them at 1X. And then also just, I think kind of in the same theme, the transparency thing here, I think, is something we talk about a lot, but every week there's some memo, some conversation, something I'm a part of where I realize I'm learning about things I would not be learning about doing what I do in some other companies. So whether it's Zach talking about legal stuff, or, a chat yesterday with Alan about some of the product stuff that they're working on. It's great for, I feel like, anybody in any role in this company learns so much more than you would anywhere else because of the transparency we have internally, and just continues to make the job more interesting and fun than it should be. So grateful for that.
Awesome to hear. I feel the same way. Matt.
Hey, yeah, professionally +1 to everything about the assemblage this week. It was so awesome to do the lightning talk. Thanks for everybody for coming out. But yeah, also excited about Brittany and Sunny to join coming the new year here. But personally, I've been just getting settled here in the this new apartment, and it's been like 60 degrees the past few days, so unusually warm for December, and I'm just enjoying that.
Yeah, the unseasonable warmth. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not going to lie. It's not queuing me up for Christmas very effectively. John.
Assemblage was great. Thank you for organizing that. Lightning talks were great. I loved David's compilation about the evolution of the application in the last 2 years. Personally, in Colombia, we celebrate what is called in Spanish novena, which has a religious and more specifically a Catholic connotation. I don't know if that's celebrated in other places, but it's a daily reunion 9 days prior to Christmas. And for everyone, religious or not, it's also a great opportunity to meet with friends, family, and neighbors. That started yesterday, and I'm excited about that.
That sounds great. Enjoy. I've heard of it. I haven't actually celebrated it myself. Chris.
Huge +1 to assemblage. It's always so much fun. I really enjoyed the lightning talks, specifically David's 2 years. It just reminded me of just how fast this team executes and all the changes and all the iterations. It's just really impressive just to watch, and even just to watch David pull all that together and find all those screenshots was pretty amazing. We should definitely get that out in the wild, like on a podcast or more publicly, because it's pretty incredible. Also, professionally, watching John's demo of the image recognition blew my mind. I had no idea that was in the works, and I saw that. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. So John, just can't wait for that feature to kind of come to life. I think it's going to be game changing for us in terms of getting logging and really making it much easier for the members. Personally, my wife and I are going to a concert tonight. We haven't gone to an indoor concert in probably since we lived in the Bay Area, I'd say maybe like in San Francisco. So probably like 3 or 4 years. So excited about that. And then we're hosting a holiday party Saturday, which went from 6 people to over 30 people. And I don't know how. So there's gonna be a lot of cooking, a lot of prepping, a lot of figuring out where do we park everyone. That should be interesting.
That sounds great. Enjoy that. Mercy.
Professionally, gonna kind of echo what everyone else has been saying about just how much the company and teams have been growing. It's really wild to see, but really exciting to see what 2022 is going to hold. And then personally, I am in Nashville for the next few days. So going to explore this place over the weekend and see what's new here.
Have fun. How?
Yeah, huge +1 to the assemblage, and especially I enjoyed the lightning talk by Chris about the farm life. If you missed that, I suggest you to go back and watch it. And level-wise, yeah, huge +1 to John's computer vision integration work. Exploration is really interesting, and there are so many tools out there. I didn't really realize that, and hopefully we'll get decide on one of them and get the food logging move forward.
Definitely. Maz.
Yeah, +1 on assemblage. I thought it did a really fantastic job to bring together the async and remote, plus the personal touch and connecting with everyone, whether it was through the lightning talks or the other activities. I've never seen anything like it. So really fantastic. I met a few people that were in town in person, which is really great. Sam is a real person. He is not a matrix algorithm. And so it was really fantastic. I thought really did a nice job filling the void that some people may feel by being async. So really well done. Congrats, guys.
You met one of the Sam avatars. That sounds like fun. They manifest irregularly. Jesse.
Yeah, +1 on the assemblage for me too. The lightning talks I went to were really awesome, and I'm excited to watch the rest. over the weekend. Yeah, it's just really cool to spend the week with everyone and connect with everyone virtually in a different way. And I'll also sing the praise of the remote culture that we have. I'm sort of in the phase of pondering where I'm going to be next after Houston, and it's really awesome that I get to make that decision independent of work. So I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, the gym I went to swim laps this morning, their pool's under renovation, so I'm in search for a new pool to swim in this weekend.
Good luck. Jackie.
Yeah, I'll just also +++1 to assemblage. My first one, and it was awesome. And mostly like, I feel like every week I find a new reason to just be grateful to be here with and working on this with all you. And this week it was just seeing David, your presentation was amazing. Sorry. And just like seeing how quickly this team has worked over the past 2 years is just incredible. On the personal and the lightning talks, I'm excited to catch up on. The ones that I've seen have been amazing. Personally, I'm in LA this week, and the weather hasn't been great and was definitely warmer in New York. And I came out here to see the sun, but this weekend's supposed to be really nice. So I'm really excited. I think I'll get out to hike a little bit and see the sun finally.
Nice, enjoy it. I don't believe Robert Curran are with us. Kunal.
Yeah, so on the level side, I'll echo what a bunch of other people said about assemblage just being great. I didn't think like the last one could be topped, but this one is just phenomenal. You guys put so much effort into the lightning talks, and they're so interesting and entertaining. Besides that, team growth is super exciting. I mean, 8 new people and 5 new engineers. It's just like, boom, it's gonna be great. Besides that, on the personal front, I bought my first motorcycle, and I have been busy buying a whole bunch of parts and taking the whole thing apart. Like I've replaced the headlight already, the turn signals. I tried to replace the tail and failed. But anyways, I'm just having so much fun. So that's been good. It's been hard too. Like I failed at a few mods, but I guess that's part of it.
Are you posting updates in Discord or something?
I need to be. I'll post them soon.
Yeah, I need to see this. That's awesome. Gabriel.
Yeah, another vote for assemblage. It's been awesome. Really enjoyed all the lightning talks. It's also been really exciting to see the full App Store launch. That's been great. And yeah, +1 to all the new team members coming aboard. Super exciting.
Definitely. Ms.
100 on the assemblage. Nice to get to know everyone personally. Even as the team grows, it's nice that we're still able to maintain those connections and connect. So thanks everyone for the effort put in, and I very much enjoyed that. On the team growth side, yeah, +8 and plus a bunch more. So we're interviewing for the finance role, meeting a lot of really great candidates on that end, and it's exciting to see the talent coming through there. And there's a bunch of other roles down the line. So the team is going to change quite a lot in the new year. We're at 35 people now, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're crossing the 50 mark by mid-February. So hold on. On the personal side, just and obviously the support team growth, excited for the 2 new members there. On the personal side, it's a nice, quiet, cold weekend, as Jackie mentioned, and recommendation for a good documentary called The Rescue, about the cave divers that rescued that Thai soccer team. It's on Disney Plus. I'm halfway through and very much enjoying it. So it's a fun watch and thrilling story. Not so fun.
Good recommendation. Ben.
Levels wise, a few things. Stoked on all the work Mike did to jump in and organize assemblage. It's a ton of work, so appreciate that. Braden, all the work on the book club, and then John, hat tip on the rapid experimentation with all the work he's doing for the AI photo and food work. So appreciate that. And then on the personal front, I had a chance to go to Edmonton with Theo this week, and it was this odd realization where he's getting to the age where I can have like real conversations with him. And so I was sort of walking around, I was like, this guy's my little buddy. And it was pretty funny to just spend a lot of one-on-one time with him. So really enjoyed that.
Awesome. Love that. Casey, close us out.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. Man, I feel like one of the highlights of the week is just this shares section, just so many wonderful, beautiful sentiments. And I definitely need to go watch John's Loom video. I'm so excited for that now. I would just +1 on the remote culture stuff. The fact that I just got to take a walk during that entire meeting, like that would never happen if we were in an office. It's just like, it's so cool. I think another highlight of the week was the interview I had with The Economist. It was one of Josh and I haven't done an interview together in a long time. And just hearing Josh talk about his story, the founding of Levels, how he thinks about things, I'm starstruck listening to Josh talk, and I'm like, oh, I just can't believe the people we get to work with. And it was just one of those wonderful moments of kind of being in awe of teammates. And just so proud to work with you guys. Personally, I'm going to be in New York until the 23rd, and then I'm heading out to Half Moon Bay to spend time with my dad, brother, and sister-in-law. So excited to hit some trails out there on the coast and get some time in nature and just have some time with the family. So hope you guys have an amazing, amazing holiday. And thanks for a great forum.
Thank you, Casey. It's funny, we were feeling mutually about each other on that interview. So I'm looking forward to seeing how The Economist spins it. Well, awesome week. Awesome contributions, everybody. I agree with Casey. This is this section here. We're going to keep it even as we approach the 50-person mark. We're going to figure it out. I don't know how, but it will happen. So thanks for all the awesome work this week, this month. We're approaching the holidays. I'm sure some people will be out next week. And or are we going to have one next week? Actually, I don't even know. No, because it's Christmas
our last
Eve.
for the year.
Last for the year. Wow.
It.
Great work this year, folks. And I'm glad we did that roundup from David. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the balmy conditions here on the East Coast, and we will see you on the fireside if you're joining.